Are you ready to sit still? Boy Scouts, Boy Scouts, How are you?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brandy Bailey from WBNG TV's Action News team. I am honored to be with you all this evening. Oh, hold on. I'm just going to talk really loud for a second. So I'm Brandy Bailey from WBNG TV's Action News team. I'll be your host for the evening, and I'm very, very honored to be here with all of you. Before we do the presentation of the colors, we're going to ask all of you to turn your cell phones off or at least put them on vibrate so they don't interrupt the ceremony. We also ask that you remove your hats as well. Thank you.
Detail. Halt! Dismiss.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank the SV Music Department. And at this time, I'm not sure if many of you know this, but I'm very honored to be here tonight. These are actually my old stomping grounds. This is all very familiar, and I thank you all for asking me to be here with you tonight. We now have Chaplain Brock for the invocation.
Please join me in prayer as I pray. O Lord our God, we thank you for this day and for this occasion of thanksgiving. For we recognize that you, Creator God, have endowed us with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, you instituted government, and blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. So we thank you, Lord, for these young men and women who raise their right hand to protect our rights and to stand for justice. May they be good at what they do, and may they be good in what they do. Lord, watch over our service members and their families, and God bless America. Amen.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Block. Now I'm going to introduce to you the SB District Superintendent, Gerardo Taliaferri.
Thank you. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Susquehanna Valley Central School District's Board of Education, Administration, and our entire school community, I welcome all of our honorees and guests here this evening. It turned out to be a beautiful day, and now it's a beautiful evening as we gather here together to recognize the 42 graduating seniors from our region who are entering military service. When the school district was approached by Bill Krasowski, the president of the Conklin Kiwanis, with their ideas and rationale for this program, we welcomed the opportunity to contribute and began a collaboration to make this a reality. Representing our region's school districts, we are proud to serve as the host site for the first to say thank you, our Community Salutes program. And we have our selected musicians from our middle school and high school to perform. It is the hope of the Kiwanis and our school district that we have set the stage for this program to continue as a regional event in the years to come. To the young men and women who are being honored here tonight, I'm reminded of a famous quote of President John F. Kennedy, taken from his inaugural address given in January 1961. It's a quote I'm sure you're very familiar with. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. We are here tonight to express our appreciation for your willingness to serve our country and to wish you the best for what the future holds. The Susquehanna Valley Central School District is pleased to be among the first to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taliaferri. I will now introduce to you Captain Eugene Clark, the National Executive Director of our Community Salutes.
Thank you, Brandy. Let me say it's an extreme pleasure to get a chance to drive down to this area of the state and to address you. Ladies, gentlemen, guests, fellow speakers, but most of all, honorees and your parents. As the Our Community Salutes Executive Director, I find myself representing Dr. Kenneth Hartman, our founder, and the many volunteers across the country that are working to say first, thank you to all of you that are about to go off to active duty, to schools, to places around the world, to defend our way of life and those things that we hold dear. My responsibilities include, but are not limited to, national planning, strategy formulation, new committee support, webpage communication initiatives, and speaking at events like this. We invite all of you, if you feel that this is as magical as we do, to go to our webpage to pull down the link, to volunteer, to make a donation. If you do volunteer, that volunteer information will be sent directly to the Our Community Salutes Committee here in Broome County. Should you make a donation, 100% of that is sent back here to support what we hope will be a future of saying thank you here in Broome County. Okay, who am I? Who is this old guy with a receding hairline? I'm a retired officer. I started my career in 1968, just as you're starting yours. I started out as an E1. After 2 tours in Vietnam, I came home as an E6. I started college on the GI Bill, and I was called into the captain's office one day, and everybody said, "What did he do?" And the truth of the matter was, I hadn't done anything. The captain had read my jacket, had seen the way that the men treated me and the way that I treated them, and he said, "I want to send you to OCS." And I said, "I beg your pardon?" He said, "I want to give you an opportunity to go to officer candidate school." Wow. Did I really hear that right? I'm not getting my butt chewed? I didn't do something wrong? And the fact of the matter is, I had a month to make up my mind. I had had the privilege of serving with men and women that were great. And I had the unfortunate privilege of working for some that I didn't really care for. And that's life. I later found out as an adult, you don't pick who you work for, you don't pick who you work with, but you make the best of it. So I decided, because I knew the difference, and I thought I could make a difference, I decided to accept that commission. Little did I know that 16 years later, I would retire. But my career assisting soldiers was ongoing. I spent 34 years at the Rochester Institute of Technology, helping young men and women like us, who were in uniform, who had a dream. They, like me, enlisted so that they could get college benefits. How many of you want a career or college benefits as a result of your service? Let me see a show of hands. Good for you. Good for you. I never expected that 4 decades later, I would retire from RIT and I would be volunteering, doing what I'm doing today. A little bit about you that you may not know. By graduating from your high school, by passing the ASVAB, that's the Armed Service of Vocational Aptitude Battery, the Armed Forces Physical, having no criminal or drug or negative financial histories, you truly are special. Now, you may not believe that, and we may not have made you feel that way yet. But I'm going to tell you something that I hope you've never heard before, and this is straight from the Pentagon. 77% of young men and women between the ages of 18 and 25, 77% of your classmates will not qualify for service. So the days of just anybody being able to raise their hand and go off to service are over. It takes a very special, very elite, what I call the best of the best. Okay? You are the best of your generation. We're the best of our generation. But today it's about you. I believe you will serve honorably. I believe you'll return to your community enriched with knowledge, mature beyond your years, and with sufficient wisdom to make a significant difference in this community. You face some tough challenges, though. We face some tough challenges together as a nation. The challenges we face, I see as being threefold. Number one, there are a lot of people around the world and here that don't like us. We have enemies. And better we protect ourselves positively against those enemies. Number two, we have an ailing economy. You can ask anybody in uniform the effect of budget shortfalls, sequestration, and other moves that have ended a lot of things that are nice to do things. I'm happy to report that this doesn't cost the Defense Department anything. So there's no tax dollars being wasted here. This is entirely 100% community driven. Your community driven. The second part of that second problem is an increased foreign competition and lower labor costs overseas. Well, I'm not going to apologize for that because we're not lowering our standard of living to accommodate somebody else. But we've got to make the changes. And we need you to come back ready to help us make those changes. Third and final thing that I see as a major difficulty is our financial instability. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about uncontrolled debt. I'm talking about trade imbalance, but most of all, I'm talking about personal debt. And the reason I came today was to talk to your parents about something that I wrote for them that was handed out when you signed up in the First to Say Thank You Parents Guide. The First to Say Thank You Parents Guide I explain to you as parents a little bit about my perspective as a parent, a little bit about what education means in the military, a little about the difference between mandatory education and voluntary education. And why is that important? It's important because college loan debt is higher now, and get this clearly, college loan debt is higher now than all of the credit card debt combined. Now, that's subsidized and unsubsidized government loans. It doesn't take into account parents' loans or parents plus loans. So that's only part of that debt picture. Why is this guy talking about all this doom and gloom? I'm talking about it because the average bachelor's candidate in 2013, when asked, reported $30,000 average in college debt. Graduate studies, $65,000. Professional studies as high as $175,000 in student debt. That's okay. You know why? You're not going to have that problem. Yeah, you heard me right. You're not going to have that problem. Why aren't you going to have that problem? Because I said, if you do your best, if you control your personal debt, if you don't run out and buy that new Harley Davidson or that new Corvette or all kinds of other stuff that you've got to take a credit to do, you'll leave service with zero debt. Zero debt. Okay? Ask yourself this question. Am I headed to college or am I headed for a career? I don't care what kind of career you pick. You want to be a plumber today? You better be a licensed plumber. Licensed by the state of New York. An electrician? You better be a licensed electrician. You want to be an aircraft mechanic in the civilian world? You got to take your A&P license. Got to do it. And it costs money. It costs money to go to school. Money that your classmates will borrow, and by the time you get home, they'll be paying college loans. They'll be paying school loans. You'll be going to school on the post 9/11 GI Bill. And how do I know? Because I spent 40 years helping guys like us doing what I'm going to tell you to do. All right, you get 36 months of benefits. The 36 months of benefits is your tuition, your fees, $1,000 a year for books, and in Binghamton, up to $1,380 a month tax-free. Now, if you're like me, what else is there? Well, there's VA work study. What's that? VA work study says if you're a full-time student and you're going to a college and you're going to do a vet-related function at that college, You can work up to 1,300 hours a year at minimum wage. Oh, that's only minimum wage. Yeah, but it's tax-free minimum wage. All right? That's an additional $9,750 a year. Okay? So add it up, $1,380 a month plus another 9, almost 10 grand. And you're just going to school. You're just going to school. Now, the most common question I used to get as the Director of Veterans and Military Affairs was, well, my daughter and my son only have 36 months of entitlement. What are we going to do for the 4th year? Well, that's not the way that it works. It's not 12 months is a calendar year. An academic year is about 9.5 months. Think about it. College isn't that much different than high school. You start in September, you end in June. 8.5, 9 months max. Okay? 9 into 36 is what? 4. That's 4 years of college. That's 4 years of college. Now, if you're smart, and I think you're smart. If you're smart, you'll accumulate as many college credits as you can while you're on active duty. How do you do that? Well, if you're a Marine, what do? You take your MCIs, right? You get your SMART transcript, right? And you send that to your college, right? And the American Council on Education makes a certain recommendation of college credits, right? You earn a secondary MOS if you got the time, right? More college credits. You become familiar with the base education office, right? You take college courses, right? Now, if you're living on the green line with a parachute on your back, you can't really do that. So what do? You take study guides. And you put study guides in your hip pocket. When you got time, after you have your cup of coffee, like the TV commercial says, and you say, "Good morning, First Sergeant," you study. You study. And you take what are called the CLEP exams, College Level Evaluation Program exams. They cost you nothing if you're on active duty, right? And you accumulate credit. You attain and you document all of the schools, all the military MOSs, because again, the American Council on Education is going to recommend credit. You study. You use the best use of your time. And if you're smart, and I think you are, you will conceive, you will believe, and you will achieve. What are you going to achieve? You're going to achieve whatever you put your mind to achieving. If you set the bar low, that's what you're going to achieve. If you set the bar high, well, you may not get there. But you never know. Okay? If you leave active duty, if you come home with an associate degree, or the equivalent of an associate degree, that means that you can take 2 years to finish your bachelor's degree. And are you ready for this? If you're going to practice a profession that requires a master's degree, and all the teachers in here, all the educators in here know what I'm talking about. To be a CPA, to be a computer analyst today, to be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief, I'm just kidding, nothing against the Indians. To be a teacher, to be an administrator, you got to have a master's degree for permanent certification, correct? 2 years to finish your bachelor's, 2 years to do your master's. All paid with your post 9/11 GI Bill. Okay? Now, you may have to pick a yellow ribbon school if you're going to go to a private school. And what does that mean? That means that the VA pays and the school pays, so you don't have to. That's right. 100% of tuition, 100% of fees, $1,000 a year for books, and in Binghamton, $1,380 a month. Okay? You can do that because I think you're smart. You can do that because I think you're the best of the best. You can do that if you set the bar high enough. You can do that if you control your personal debt. But you're only going to do that if you write it down as part of a plan. And if you share that plan with your team. Who's your team? Your team captains, your main cheerleaders, your parents. Parents, you got to be there for them. Mom, I know that your role in the past has been complaining when the leftovers in the fridge are done, and they're gone, and they disappear. You're not going to have to worry about it anymore. You're not going to have to worry about them making a bed in the morning. The drill sergeants will tuck them in, will teach them how to make their bed, square the corners on the mattress, and bounce a quarter off. I guarantee. I guarantee. Some things just never change. Right, Fred? Never change. Dad, the ATM, is closed. They got jobs. They're going to make real money. They're going to put money in the bank. So your roles as parents have changed. And my request to you is to read the Parents Guide. If you didn't get one, pick one up or download it off the Our Community Salutes website. It's free. It is free to download. Share it with whoever you want to share it with. It's about my asking you to shift from being a critical or nurturing parent to being a coach, playing an active role in your son's or daughter's goals. But the rest of your team are going to be academic advisors, fellow soldiers that are going to school, financial aid administrators, veteran program administrators, and you can expand that list to be mentors or anybody else that you think you want on your team. Share your written plan with them. If it's written, it won't be misunderstood. It will be clear. It will be concise. And they'll then understand what they can do to help you achieve your goal. If you don't write it down, you'll learn something real quick in life. If it's important, you write it down. If you don't want to forget it, you write it down. Okay? You commit it to writing so that you don't forget it. All right? In the military, if you don't get it in writing, it doesn't exist. Keep a copy of it. Keep it where you can find it. Okay? It's got to work for you. But parents, I beg you, play a different role in your sons' or daughters' lives. Become a coach. Ask them if they've been to the base education office yet. Ask them what their plans are. Ask them where they're going to use this experience when they get home. And then begin that problem solving today. Begin that transition today. Because that 4 years is going to fly by. I guarantee you. Before you know it, they'll be home. And if they face the same kind of an economy, the same kind of joblessness that we face today, I guarantee you they'll be in school. Because that's their best alternative. Okay? Again, my name is Gene Clark. It's a pleasure to be here. I believe in you. I believe that you're the best of your generation. I believe that if you can conceive and if you believe, you will achieve. I believe. Don't let me down. Thank you very much. You've been very patient. Give yourself a round of applause.
Thank you, Captain Clark. We now have the SB Chorus. I will now introduce your keynote speaker for the evening, Veteran Chief Warrant Officer Fred B. Baker II.
That's the first I heard Taps choral group, and I think it was just fantastic. Before I begin, there are a couple things I'd like to do, but first, everybody just stand up for a second, shake it off, relax yourselves a little. That's good. Okay. Feel a little better? Okay, you can sit down. You didn't have to wait for me. Before I begin, how many veterans do we have in here? Can we see a show of hands? And I'm going to give you two more words that you hear just lately. Welcome home. I say welcome home because that wasn't always the way we felt in this country. Now, I look down here and I see these young-looking Marines here, and they really look good in their uniforms. And you can always tell a Marine. You can't tell them much, but you can tell a Marine. Then we have our Air Force. What a bunch. Those guys actually wear parachutes. I was a pilot in the Army. We didn't wear parachutes. They not only wear parachutes, they get to take their recliner out of the aircraft with them. Then, of course, the Army. Soldiers in the Army, they're called grunts. They haven't had to do lifts out of aircraft since Vietnam, but they still call them grunts. I don't know why. And then, of course, there's the Navy. Well, there's also the Coast Guard, but what are they really? But the Navy, well, wait a second. The Coast Guard do teach their people how to swim. They rescue people. The Navy, if you're swimming in the Navy, you're in the wrong place. And one other thing I wanted to mention, I was a helicopter pilot, not to be confused with fighter pilots in the Air Force. If you're at a military function and you don't know who the fighter pilot is, don't worry, he'll tell you. The difference between God and fighter pilots, God doesn't think he's a fighter pilot. I'm very pleased to be here tonight, and I've been thanked for showing up, and I think it's really nice to thank me and everything. I like that, but you know, the truth of the matter is, it's me who needs to thank you. I want to thank you for the community spirit, for the way you treat these young men and women who are going into the service today. This, like I said before, was not always the case. See if I can arrange this thing a little different. Can you still hear me all right? Okay, our 40th president, Ronald Reagan, once said, "Freedom is never more than a generation from extinction." We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them so that they may do the same. I came here tonight not to speak to you young folks about your impending service to our nation, but rather a single aspect of that service. As you continue forward, the status, if you will, of being a veteran, and some of my experiences in that status. What is a veteran? Legally, under federal law, the definition of veteran is any person who served honorably on active duty in the armed forces of the United States. Discharges marked general or under honorable conditions also qualify. The great state of New York defines a veteran, defines veteran eligibility in the Summary of Civil Service Law, Section 85. were members of the Armed Forces of the United States, served on active duty for other than training purposes in time of war, were discharged honorably or released under honorable conditions, are residents of New York, and have documented their eligibility. For me, a better definition is a veteran. Whether active duty, retired, National Guard, or Reserve, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States for an amount up to and including my life. That is honor, and there are way too few in this country today who understand it. You young folks entering the military may understand the consequences of that simple little phrase. I sincerely hope you give it serious consideration, for I will tell you for sure, those consequences are foremost in the hearts and minds of your families. As Thomas Jefferson said, the tree of liberty needs to be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Only 7% of our population is veteran. 7%. Only 7% have stood as a firewall to the protection of our liberties and freedom granted by we the people in the Constitution. It all begins with your term of enlistment, the oath. I, and your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers so appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And the most important part, so help me God. My active service began in June of 1967 and ended in August of 1971. My tour in Vietnam was from October of 1968 until October of 1969. Just a little more than 4 years earned me the title of veteran. And just 1 year, just a little more than 1 year, qualified me to that wonderful title of combat veteran. I have always been extremely proud of my service and the service of those with me. However, there are still many who don't share that same pride. In fact, there are those who deride the military, and the reasons are varied and sometimes quite illogical. I personally find such behavior deplorable, and will herein dispel some of the myths that have been passed down through the generations and perpetuated by the foolish and ignorant, as seen through the eyes of this veteran. Vietnam veterans have a strong distaste for protesters. Those who protest our current war are blissfully ignorant to the history of their predecessors. They think that because protests ended the Vietnam War, that Vietnam veterans would flock to their cause. For us, it is much more personal. During our time, we were insulted, assaulted, reviled, and our reputations maligned. In our opinion, all who were against the war in Vietnam used any and all means, including outright lies, to further their cause. Most egregiously, they blamed Vietnam veterans and other soldiers for the war. A friend and fellow veteran from Tennessee, John Nichols, once said, it is hard to consider one's service as honorable when your nation views you as dishonorable. The great philosopher George Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Among the many insults hurled at Vietnam veterans, the term baby killer was the most often heard and the worst as far as veterans feel, because that's not who we were. While many at the time blamed us for a wide range of atrocities, the truth is, to my knowledge, there is only one that occurred. It happened on March 16, 1968. The United States Army soldiers of Charlie Company of the 1st Battalion, 20th Infantry Regiment, 11th Brigade of the Americal Division received its orders to clear out possible VC sympathizers in the village of My Lai. Colonel Orrin Henderson authorized his officers to go in there aggressively, close with the enemy, and wipe them out for good. The officers of Charlie Company evidently considered the village to be totally VC or VC sympathizers and ordered what became a killing frenzy. The mass murder killed 347, according to our records, 504, according to Vietnamese records, innocent civilians. And it occurred in just 2 hours' time. The massacre ended when a reconnaissance warrant officer helicopter pilot, Hugh Thompson, landed his aircraft between the soldiers and the retreating villagers and threatened to open fire if they continued their attacks. Unfortunately, this atrocity became the blueprint for the fabrications and lies of atrocities given by the Winter Soldier Project, as it was put forward by a group called Veterans Against the War, Vietnam Veterans Against the War, which is a total misnomer, as most of them were never veterans, and some, very few, saw combat. Their testimony before Congress added credence to the allegations that the soldiers in Vietnam were out of control, sociopathic killers, and branded them and all veterans of that era with the stigma that lasted for years. Needless to say, our returning veterans did not receive a very warm welcome home. As a Vietnam veteran, I have often visited the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. On my second trip in 2005, a fellow veteran approached me and greeted me with the words, "Welcome home, brother." A wide range of unexpected emotions and inability to respond instantly struck me. It was the first time anyone had ever addressed me with that simple yet powerful saying. I have often reminisced about that day and of the emotions I felt. Today, whenever two or more veterans get together, greetings are often exchanged. Mostly they're questions like, where did you serve? What was your unit? What year or years were you there? But the very most frequent address that veterans say to one another today is "Welcome home, brother," or "Welcome home, sister." For a few years, Vietnam veterans used this exclusively toward each other. Recently, it has become a greeting for all veterans. Service to your country entails a lot of responsibility. As a 19-year-old medic at Fort Sam Houston, I delivered 3 babies to 2 mothers in the back of an ambulance. On July 9, 1969, while in Vietnam at the age of 21, I was the aircraft commander in charge of the command and control aircraft for the air security of the President of the United States in a war zone. In Germany after Vietnam, I was assigned to D Troop 2nd Squadron, 4th Cavalry of the 4th Armored Division. We were the top 40 pilots in the United States Army, supposedly. How I got picked, I'll never know. But our mission was to prove that an air-mobile cavalry unit could effectively take on superior armored forces in a European environment. We not only proved we could, the tactics that we developed back then, 40-some years ago, are still used today. I was also sent to Firth, Germany, as the aircraft commander for Brigadier General George S. Patton, the son of the same famous World War II general. My mission was to ensure that he would be a safe pilot, since he may have been given preferential treatment in flight school. I challenge anyone here, to come up with any instance in the private sector where that much responsibility is given to someone not even 24 years of age. These responsibilities were not given to me alone. Almost everyone who serves is given the opportunity to excel beyond expectations. I want to tell you that once again. Almost everybody in the service is given an opportunity to excel beyond expectations. It is there. You just have to take it. With or without your knowledge, your service will imbue you with a strong sense of your own responsibilities as well. The greatest generation of World War II and Korea returned to build our nation with exceptional prosperity. Vietnam veterans, more than any other, have brought attention to post-traumatic stress, a serious disorder, also known as shell shock, combat fatigue, war stress, and battle fatigue. They brought the danger of the use of chemical agents before the nation more than any group since World War I, and they, more than any group, have been responsible for ensuring that veterans get the recognition they deserve. In the Pacific, World War II, in just 4 years' time, the average combat soldier saw just 40 days of combat. Just 40 days, World War II. In Vietnam, thanks to the mobility of the helicopter, the average combat soldier saw 240 days of combat. Today, our young folks have no real security, no real base camp. They know that a cop or soldier of a friendly nation can actually do them harm. They are under stress 24/7, 365 days a year. They go back for 3 and 4 and sometimes 5 tours of duty. We are losing 20 a day to suicide. That's 1 every 67 minutes. Who's out there for them? We are, the veterans. Their brothers, their sisters. We appreciate what they're doing. Before speaking, the responsibilities continue. The returning soldiers of today, brothers and sisters, need our support as much as any other. Who is better qualified to lead the way than veterans? Before speaking here tonight, I provided a biography to our community salutes. I hope you had an opportunity to read it. Not so much because it's about me, but I left out something very important. I didn't mention my affiliations, which are extensive. I belong to several organizations, but more importantly, I belong to several veterans organizations too. I am a life member of the United States Army Warrant Officers Association. I'm a life member of the Military Order of the Purple Heart, a life member, former adjutant, former quartermaster, and national aide-de-camp of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm a life member of the AMVETS. I'm a life member, former chaplain, vice commander, parliamentarian, historian, adjutant of the year 2010, and presently Judge Advocate General for the American Legion. I'm also a present-day district deputy commander and adjutant for the 15th District of the American Legion in Pennsylvania. And I am a life member of the Veterans of the Vietnam War Incorporated, whose motto, "Never again will one generation of veterans abandon another," has been taken to heart by my generation with more than lip service. It is a solemn responsibility. I'm pleased to tell you, there's nothing special about me. I'm not cream of the crop like you young folks are. I'm 65 years old, but I often mention I wasn't an ambitious student in high school. I graduated at the top 4/5 of my class. I was a college dropout. And although drafted, I served a little more than 4 years in the military. I have been around the world and gained knowledge granted only to a few. Nowhere, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, nowhere in the world does such good fortune come so regularly as in the United States of America. I mentioned I'm 65 years old. My entire life has been shaped around the mold of service to my country. While I may from time to time be critical toward whoever leads our government, I will forever maintain a love and pride and loyalty to my country and to the 7% who are serving and have served. If you have the good fortune to visit our war monuments on the mall of our nation's capital, think of the sacrifices of those remembered there. To veterans, those monuments are sacred. To our nation, they are reminders that freedom is not free. To the world, they represent that we and we alone are willing to sacrifice not for the attainment of foreign land, monetary gain, or dominance, but for the ultimate benefit of freedom and liberty. Therefore, I ask you to thank veterans for serving and be sure to tell them they are welcome home. Let me conclude by reciting the words of a prayer from the flag ceremony performed at every stated meeting of Freemasons in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. O eternal God, through whose mighty power our fathers won their liberties of old, grant, we beseech thee, that we and all people of the land may with loyalty, fidelity, and courage maintain these liberties. Protect and assist all who are serving their country at home or abroad, by land, by sea, or in the air, that they, being armed with thy defense, may be preserved evermore in all perils, and being filled with wisdom and girded with strength, may do their duty to thy honor and glory. Amen. May God bless you, young folks, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. I will now introduce the Broome County Executive and a dear friend of mine, Debbie Preston.
You know, Brandy, you said that this is your old stomping grounds. This is my alma mater. I think I was stomping here before you, huh?
She was.
Thank you. Good evening. I am extremely proud and privileged to be here with you tonight. As Broome County Executive, I'm invited to attend many events every week in our community. While every event is important to our community, this event has special significance and is very near and dear to my heart. The commitment of the young men and women in this room tonight to enter our armed services and to serve our country is the most noble pledge anyone can make in putting service above self. Many members of my family have served in the military, and I commend each and every one of you for your dedication to our country. This Friday is a special day. This Friday is Flag Day. And on Flag Day, we recognize an iconic symbol of what it means to be an American and what it means to be free. And we know that freedom is not free. But thanks to you and to your pledge to protect and to defend our country, we will continue to live in a country founded on liberty and dedicated to justice for all. Tonight, I thank you on behalf of all the residents of Broome County, and I thank your family and your loved ones. But we all know that when you return from your service, you will be stronger, and our great nation will continue to be a global leader and a shining star of freedom. Again, I want to thank you for your leadership, thank you for your bravery, and thank you for your service to the United States of America. And at this time, I'm going to be joined by a representative from Congressman Hanna's office, who couldn't be here tonight, but you hold a very special place in his heart. And you will be presented by one of his staff members. You will be presented with a citation on behalf of our grateful nation from Congressman Hanna, and I will also present you with a citation on behalf of all the residents of Broome County. I want to say God bless you to each one of you. I want to thank you. I also want to say to God bless the United States of America, but thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Congressman Hanna, it is truly an honor to be here with you all today. For each of you entering the military, as Debbie said, I have a congressional certificate that I will be handing out with her. But before I do that, can I have a representative from the Kiwanis Club join me? Bill? For your organization, I have a certificate of congressional record. Congressman Hanna spoke on the House floor and mentioned each of you individually by name. This record will be housed in the Library of Congress, and it is for the Conklin Kiwanis Club. Thank you all. Thank you.
I'll also ask now that Eugene Clark join us back up on the stage. We will now be the first to say thank you to all of the honorees tonight. We will start with the Binghamton School District. I will call Superintendent Marion Martinez to the stage. Zachary P. Cepeda from the United States Army.
in case people are wondering, the challenge coin's being given on behalf of our community salutes for the Kiwanis Club of Conklin. And on the back page of your program is the history of what the military challenge coin is all about.
Patrick M. Stanton, United States Army. Jonathan M. Truesdell, United States Army. And a round of applause for the Binghamton honorees. We'll now ask Jeffrey Kozlowski, the superintendent of the Candor School District. Michael Elliott, U.S. Marines. Aaron Takala, United States Army. Another round of applause for the Candor School District honorees. And now from Shenango Forks, Kate McConaughey from the Guidance Department. Alex T. Vesey, United States Army. A round of applause for Now invite Mark McCravey from the Guidance Office of Deposit. From Deposit, we have Joel Seymour, United States Marine. From the Hancock School District, Terry Doherty, Superintendent. Hancock, we have Andrew Kinner, United States Army. And standing in for the Harpersville School District, Kathy Wood, is Home Superintendent, Mr. Talafaria. He will present the award for Savannah Murray, USMA West Point. From the Maine Endwell School District, Tom Burkard, Principal. Brooke Bart, United States Marines. Matthew Morgan, United States Marines. Jarrett Thomas, United States Marines. We now invite Ryan Doherty, the Superintendent of the Newark Valley School District. James Robb, United States Marines. Michael J. Sarnosky, United States Army. Owego Appalachian Heath, Georgia High School Principal. Cody Harps, United States Marines. And on behalf of Andre T. Judge, the United States Army, Sergeant Brown will be accepting on his behalf. now call Scott Taylor, Superintendent of Tioga. Margot Marion, the high school principal as well, will be joining him. Emily Stansfield, United New York State Army National Guard. And for homeschool students, we have Anna Carmen, New York State Army National Guard. Now from the Union Endicott School District, Dr. Sue McLeod, Superintendent, and Dr. Sharon Wells, Board of Education. Nathan Boyson, United States Army. And now from the Vestal School District, Debbie Caddick, High School Assistant Principal. Sean Chamberlain, United States Marines. Leoff Garrett, United States Marines. Andrew Greger, United States Army. Brian Jennings, United States Marines. Richard Pedro, United States Army. Cody Belmore, United States Marines. Daniel Bond, United States Army. Jacob Caldwell, United States Marines. Nicholas Freed, United States Marines. Jack Tidor, United States Army. And any of the honorees who did not get the correct certificate or a certificate, please see us afterwards. We'll make sure that you get that. I'd like to thank you all again, and again, thank you to all of the honorees. And I will now introduce the U.S. Marine Corps Lead Color Guard for the retrieval of the colors. The SB Music Department will now play their final medley.